stop, and landing 13 left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Link, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Link. Palm Springs altimeters 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VFR. Presently landing runway 31, you're requesting straight in for 13.
That's available.
Ever departure of Papa Hotel Tango, India Link, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango, India Link, thanks.
Palm Springs clearance, Pilots 4658 is type PC final slam call, request clearance to Vegas S file.
Pilots 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S file, and I'll be full route step. Pilots 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas airport. VFR Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs. Victor 370 to 29 Palms. Victor 538. Cresso. Join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000. Check flight level 2405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7. Swap 6316.
Pilots 4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3, initially climb 7 plus expect 025, departure 167, flight 6 plus switching side.
Pilots 4658, free baggage correct. Tango Link, connect to the ground via Echo and frequency.
Fixing to the ramp via Echo, remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango, India Link.
Ontario Tower says the 237 Charlie Alpha approximately 4 miles to the west inbound to land.
Number 237, Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left, traffic, left downwind, runway 26, left, report base.
Enter left downwind 26 left, report your base 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower United 242 on the visual for 20 right, returning for right base starting.
United 242, John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 170.3.
Clear to land, 20 right, land.
Here 520 Yankee Kilo, Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at 1. Number 237, Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
So left clear to land 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs ground, Pilots 4658 is trying to weather going for taxi.
Pilots 4658, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good morning, November 2903 Alpha with you on the island.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, good afternoon. Runway 900 clear low approach, report miss.
November 2903 Alpha, low approach, runway 9, next to the
Palm Springs Tower, Pilots 4658 ready to go trail right at Bravo.
And it was the radio area check.
Pilots 4658, Palm Springs Tower, runway 31 right, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, trail right, Pilots 465.
Here's our Yankee Kilo, roger, taxi into the ramp via Alpha. Pilots 4658, contact hotel departure.
Contact departure 465.
Says the 7 Charlie Alpha is clearly active, taxi to the GA parking place.
We're 7 Charlie Alpha, and on this frequency taxi into the south ramp via Sierra.
South ramp via Sierra with you, 7 Charlie Alpha. Thanks.
November 2903 Alpha going around.
Number 03 Alpha, confirm going around or going missed.
November 2903 Alpha going missing.
Number 03 Alpha, roger, execute the published missed approach procedure.
Flying public mid-approach procedure. November 2903.
Piper 2903 Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure, 03 Alpha.
Number 03 Alpha, departure frequency 135.4.
135.4 for departure. November 2903 Alpha.
Ontario Tower, November 516 Delta Mike, inbound ILS 26 left. Or 516 Delta Mike, Ontario Tower. Good afternoon, Ontario. Wind is calm. Runway 26 left, clear to land.
26 left, clear to land, 6 Delta Mike. Ontario Tower, November 36. Correction, 516 Delta Mike, clear the active uniform, taxiing to the south apron.
Number 6 Delta Mike, roger, taxi on south ramp via Sierra. Remain on this frequency.
Yes, here on this frequency, 6 Delta.
Riverside Tower, Riverside Route, November 2903 Alpha, in Alpha request taxi to the transient partner.
Number 2903 Alpha Riverside ground. In the future, don't switch to the ground frequency unless you're told to do so. Should stay with tower, exiting the runway all the way to the whole stroke point. Stay on this frequency for now. Taxi into the ramp via Alpha.
Taxi to ramp via Alpha. Okay. November 2903 Alpha.
Runway clear. Runway clearance. November 6th. Charlie Mike Cherokee. I would like to attempt the I-4 today.
Cherokee 76 Charlie Mike John clearance. Good evening. Good luck on the I-4 destination. Will be, let's go, Kilo, Oscar X-ray, Romeo.
That's Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo. 62 Mike.
Yes, sir. Good luck.
I'm going to sign off and collect some information for this destination. I'll sign back in. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Just report when you're back with the I-4. And how long do you think it'll be? It's not going to be more than an hour, is it?
No. I have to file and get some charts and plates.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll still be here, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we'll look for your flight plan to come through. Which you might say.
Las Vegas Tower Plus 4658 visual 1 on the right 4500.
Plus 4658 Las Vegas Tower, runway 19 right, clear to land, wind 1807.
Clear to land 1 on right 465.
Plus 658 exit right, taxi into the ramp via hotel. Remain on this frequency today.
Exit right, ramp hotel, ramp frequency update 465.
Ground number 95 for Whiskey Alpha's Hyperch Comanche PH4 slide Alpha. Like taxi the active VFR east departure with weather.
Calling Long Beach Ground, need you to verify your call sign, please.
Sorry about that. 916 Whiskey Alpha. November 916 Whiskey Alpha.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Ground, roger. And just confirm VFR eastbound.
Eastbound and repeat east ramp just south of runway 25.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, roger. Runway 26 right, taxi to
Okay, 25 right, the Kilo 916 Whiskey Alpha. Long Beach Tower, November 916 Whiskey Alpha. Holding short of 25 right, Kilo ready for departure VFR east.
We're 916 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Tower, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff, right down departure approved.
Clear for takeoff 25 right, right down with departure 6 Whiskey Alpha. Good day, Palm Springs, ground scanning hotel Tango. East Ready, India, close traffic, 31 right.
Papa Hotel Tango with Mike, Palm Springs, ground, say good aircraft tank.
Or a Cessna Sky.
Skyline Tango with Mike, thank you, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Echo and Bravo, 31 right, Papa Hotel Tango.
We're center 791 Juliet, towards ground left.
Okay, Sky 791 we see there's no clearance delivery with this field, so would we get our departure instructions with tower or with ground?
Always go with the lowest, so we'll start with ground. Just say your intentions.
Okay, Sky 791 Juliet, type Cessna 172 on the south angles with the numbers requesting VFR advisories to
Number 791 Juliet, roger, departure frequency 134.9er, squawk 2061.
1249 is 2061.
Got 991 Juliet, read back is correct, are you ready to taxi now?
In a couple of minutes, just go down to the side. Sky 791 south angles.
Sky 791 Juliet, roger, runway 29 right. Taxi via hotel, correction, taxi via Alpha in Juliet.
29 right taxi by Alpha and Juliet, Sky 700.
Palm Springs Tower, scanning Papa Hotel Tango. Mike is holding short runway 31 right, Bravo, and ready for departure, close traffic.
Hello everyone, happy Monday, another VFR challenge. Hope you're all doing well. Leo, good to see you. Finnish, good to see you as well. Hoping you're making progress with your university work. Man, I've also been so busy PhDing, a lot of other stuff. Also gonna rebuild my cockpit. I'm gonna receive my GNS 430 soon by RealSim gear that I'm gonna mount in my cockpit. Made a autopilot transponder, mini USB hub, and also gonna put that into my cockpit and make it a bit more fancy and a bit more practical. So a lot of stuff going on. And meanwhile, I'm studying IFR also to do my first complete IFR flight. I still need to do my RNAV approach, which I would love to do with my GNS. But also entire IFR flights. And what actually amazed me, which is completely aside from this whole VFR challenge today, is how little information I could find, at least at YouTube or online, about how to actually plan a proper IFR flight from A to B. I mean, there's a lot of information about approaches and ATC and stuff, but not so much in just devising a good IFR flight. And so, yeah, I needed to search for a lot of information, and now I got a good approach or strategy towards well, developing those IFR flights, which is really interesting, and I would really love to share that information very soon once I pick up the thread, hopefully when I've upgraded my cockpit here and did a lot of other work still. So guys, another weekly VFR challenge, obviously. So what are we going to do for today? Well, we are currently at Tehachapi Airport, a non-towered airport, and the challenge for today is to fly from Tehachapi, Kilo Tango Sierra Papa, to Bakersfield, very nearby. And the challenge is to only load up your aircraft with just enough fuel, without reserves, the legal reserves that we all need to are required to bring with us, so the 30 minutes VFR 45 when you're at VFR at night or IFR, without the reserve, to try to reach Bakersfield, the parking at Bakersfield, without having a drop of fuel left. And obviously this challenge tries to inspire you to have a proper idea of what your fuel management is all about. And honestly, in my case, I am not incorporating fuel management at all. I believe even not since the start of my very channel, which is actually very silly. Usually I'm just loading up my aircraft with half full tanks or full tanks, and I just keep on flying. Well, actually, fuel management is very important, also a lot of fun. So this challenge also challenged me just to get into to study fuel management and just to experiment and just start to studying that a bit more. Finish, I'm starting a PhD, so I might use some college support. Ah, that's awesome, Finish. Good to hear. Congratulations. And John Fly, thank you for the host. Marcus, thank you for the host. Very kind, guys. Thanks. So this is going to be the challenge, and yeah, so what I've been doing, and I'm not sure whether I'm doing this right, because it seems not correct intuitively, is to make a spreadsheet. Let me show you. No, I can just remain in Dropbox, and this is just an exported PDF. So I cannot change it anymore because I run this on my Mac and this is my iPad and stuff. So what I did was making a spreadsheet where I could put in as much information as I wanted for any particular flight, just to give some general information about my intended cruise altitude, the airport elevation of my departure airport, my destination airport, winds, how long I would stay stationary at the ramp, how long at my destination airport at the ramp, all kinds of stuff that I can think of, and to try to calculate in the most exact way possible how many gallons, if I would just be like a machine, right, and just fly like I would by the book, how many gallons I would need to actually reach to my destination airport. Now, I also tried a bit in my experiment a bit in the sim using the REP here, just to see what the fuel burn is for a particular stage at particular altitudes, which is not exactly the same as in the tables, the performance tables, because I'm flying with a much less heavy Skyhawk than is in the book, and also I'm not sure whether rep is that exact still. So I also did some experiments just to see what the fuel burn would be like. Also in case of just a traffic pattern, how many gallons of fuel do you burn when you are just making a simple traffic pattern? Well, it turns out it's 0.6 gallons. I never thought that it was that less, to be honest. So it also this exercise also stimulates me just to think about, wrap my mind around, get a frame of reference in terms of fuel burn. So up to now I've been quite naive, I think, and well, trying to make this spreadsheet and also now to apply it is the starting point of just becoming much more aware of fuel burn and fuel management. Exactly, Finish, flying more economically. Yeah, but again, it's just such an essential part of being a VFR pilot, also an IFR pilot, obviously. Now, based on, I made this spreadsheet just yesterday evening. A bit in a rush, and I'm hoping that I'm correct. I'm not quite sure. I'm not 100% sure whether this spreadsheet tells me the truth about how many gallons we're actually going to burn, but looking at this particular flight flying from Tehachepi Airport to Bakersfield, it's gonna require from ramp to ramp, from parking to parking, including taxi, and then an additional traffic pattern in case we need it, 2.96 gallons of fuel. That seems far too little in my mind. But if my first glance at looking at these tables here are just process data that I needed just intermediate kind of calculations to come up to this final answer here of how many gallons I need. To me, this seems intuitively silly. But again, if I need 0.6 gallons just to fly a traffic pattern, perhaps with 3 I'm able to just reach Bakersfield. Now again, in the real world you would not do this. You always need more gallons, also in terms of reserve, and just generally I guess never fly with less than half tanks or so. But again, just intellectually, academically thinking about fuel burn and getting a much better sense of fuel management, I think this is a really fun challenge, so that's what I'm going to do. Hey Kimo, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, 2.96 gallons. So what I did, and I don't know if you guys can see here, I enabled a data ref here showing my gallons fuel in my left and my right tank, which is about 1.5. So that adds up to about 3. Thanks for the follow, Finbar. Thank you, appreciate it. So this should be enough. 1.5 gallons of fuel in each tank. Yeah, it could be that I made a grave error in my spreadsheet and we will run out of fuel even before we reach Bakersfield. In that case, we're going to practice a crash landing, which is also very useful. So in any case, it's going to be an exciting flight. Burn, baby, burn. Hey, Jimlin, good to see you. Good to see you guys. Welcome. And again, if you feel like it, jump aboard in your own airplane here at Tehachepi at PilotEdge and join and complete this VFR challenge with me. As you know, every Monday at 17:30 Zulu time, I'm going to do unique VFR challenges just to keep flying VFR as well and become a better pilot. So usually 3 to 4 or 5 pilots join in, which is really fun. I know on Discord there were a couple of pilots who already had some other stuff to do, so I'm not sure how many pilots will be here. We're already around 17:30 Zulu time right about now, so we'll have to take a look to see if we spot any other aircraft here on the field. But you're all welcome. No need to be on a group chat or stuff, but just join in and complete the challenge on your own. Jim, how far is the flight? Well, according to my spreadsheet, it is, well, the 36 nautical miles distance here on top I found by using SkyVector, so it's about 36 nautical miles, and the flight will take from parking to parking 46 minutes, including an additional traffic pattern in case it became busy at Bakersfield because of this VFR challenge, and the tower instructs me to make an addition. So again, this is kind of guessing. The challenge is to spend, to reach the parking spot here, the ramp of Bakersfield, with as little fuel left in your tanks as possible. That's the challenge. So let's see. Trusting in the spreadsheets, and otherwise we're gonna practice that crash landing. I'd like to now switch to my 4 flights. Boom, there we are. This is the flight. So Tehachepi, as you can see here, a non-towered field, quite nice. Tucked underneath a MOA, actually 2 MOAs, or well, kind of 2. So as long as we stay beneath 1500 feet AGL, which is a bit silly because here on the sectional it says 1500, but if you use ForeFlight, it is saying 2000 AGL, as you can see, Bakersfield MOA. Don't know. Also, I've also been messing around, obviously, with inputting IFR flight plans as part of my study, ground school study, in preparation of my next IFR flights here on the stream. And also ForeFlight does some strange, silly things, interpreting flight plans and stuff which go totally wrong. So yeah, just double checking. Never mindlessly trust your ForeFlight, but always keep thinking as a pilot, obviously. Jimlin, doesn't a 172 burn about 8 gallons at cruise? If so, it would seem like you'll be short. Yeah, that's true. But that's a gallon per hour, and we're not going to spend that much time in the air. And those 40 minutes that we've just been talking about are made up of a climb and a descent, and also parking and taxi. So yeah, we'll have to see. Christoph, you need to be on PilotEdge to join, right? Yes, that's the whole multiplayer idea. And again, this is not just to promote PilotEdge. I love PilotEdge, as you all know. As from day one, my first episode on PilotEdge, right, brings our flight simulation practice to life with real-world ADC. But for me, generally, I just like to fly each and every week, every Monday, just for the sake of my own flight training, and by sharing my flight plans, my VFR challenges at my Twitter, or especially on Discord, where other pilots join in as well and talk about the challenge, and we all try to inspire each other just to fly. It's also a bit of a social experience, kind of like a buddy system where we try to encourage each other just to keep flying and do interesting stuff. So next Monday there will be another new VFR challenge. So if you're interested in that stuff, yeah, be sure to follow me on Twitter or join on Discord and join the club. Kimo, 3 gallons is unusable in the 172 one. Sorry, that is fuel you can't use. That's true. So there is a usable amount of fuel and just unusable kind of fuel. I don't know how X-Plane is going to work with that. So currently I just said just the absolute minimum, so 1.5 gallons in each tank. It might be the case that that's is not enough for the 172 just to start up initially. I have no idea. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's see. Gemlin, how did you get the confidence to start out on PilotEdge? It still seems too daunting. Well, if you go to YouTube and look for my channel, UncertifiedPilot, you can start watching the very first episode, which is already 2 or 3 years ago, and you'll have an idea of how I felt when I started with PilotEdge. You can follow me with each flight I ever made on PilotEdge, from the very, very beginning as being a noob in terms of flying the 172, the 182 at that time, to becoming a Cat 11 rated pilot here. And now I'm going through the I ratings, doing proper IFR training as well, using real world course materials. Maybe SimCoder Simulator. Yeah, Kima, I don't know. I have no idea. We'll have to see. Also, what I never noticed before, if you go to the fuel, this is in pounds, while I'm actually thinking and calculating in terms of gallons per hour. So this is also very, very inconsistent, I guess, or not handy, I should say. I don't know in the real world whether pilots talk about pounds instead of gallons. I thought about. I think that they would use gallons in this sense, so I needed to convert and stuff. So this is yeah, a bit silly. So we'll have to see. That's the idea. So here we are. Tehachepi. I think it looks pretty neat. A cozy airport. Nice paved runway. Nice ramp. I think it looks cute. We got perfect weather here, which is to be expected. There is a significant wind factor, I believe. Well, no. Oh yeah, no, my weather updated before and then it's changed. Yes. So favors runway 29, as I saw. Also using my weather planning apps, we need to go that direction. We're going to follow this highway and then through this valley up to Bakersfield to 5,500 feet, which keeps us at 1,500 feet AGL and below the MOA. Any other traffic that we see? I think we are alone for this week's challenge, which is totally fine, but I'd like to keep track of things. This seems all to be stationary. No, I'm wrong. This is actually someone on PilotEdge just joining. That's cool. Is that the only one? Which is totally fine, but I'm just curious. Yeah, I think so. Alright, so the two of us. Let's hop in the cockpit. Jimlin! Hey Geritric, good to see you. Sorry, missed you. I watched all your videos on YouTube, but haven't gone back to the first ones. Also following closely the building of the 172. I'm also making my first plane. That's good to hear, Jalen. Yeah, once I completed my IFR training, I will continue building the 172. So many projects that I like to work on. And yeah, not enough time. Alrighty. That doesn't seem right. This is much better. I'm not going to do the walk around in terms just to save time. Fasten the seatbelt. Close the door. Parker brakes are set. I see that my yoke is not calibrated properly, so let's do that first. No. This one. Joystick. Also, really looking forward to Flight Sim Expo, guys, and the streams and stuff and the announcements. Cannot wait what they will say. X-Plane's gonna announce new stuff. It's gonna be cool. Yeah, this is much better. Who has time and how can you ever tell me? Exactly, Jamin. Flight Gear X. So Tim, have you completed your PhD? Not yet. Not yet. Really busy writing up all of that stuff. I'm expecting to have completed my dissertation by the end of this year, and to actually have the formal ceremony of actually being granted my PhD at the beginning of next year. So it will still take some time, but I'm making good progress and learning a lot of interesting stuff. Thank you for asking. Yes, so park and brake sets, live vests, and fire extinguisher. Let's just pretend as always that it's there. Door is closed, window is closed, ELT is set to auto, flap lever is up, and my flaps are actually up. My mixture is working, side tech throttle is working as well. Trim is set, a little bit nose down, I prefer. Fuel tank set to both, fuel cutoff is in, alternate is in, avionics are off, lights are all off except for the beacon, batteries are off, and ignition switch set to off as well. Make sure that my side deck panel works as well, and it does. Then yoke to the right, that one goes down, that one goes up, that one goes down, that one goes up. Elevators look good, also the trim, yeah, is working. I mean the trim wheel can work, but it doesn't mean that the actual trim tab works. Very, very good. Alright, this is the fuel. Doesn't look good. Yeah, again, as Chemo pointed out already, whether the question is whether this amount of fuel, these 3 gallons of fuel are actually usable by the Skyhawk. Perhaps there's so little fuel now in the tanks that it doesn't seep down to the engine. We'll have to see if that's simulated by rep. Perhaps it is. If so, then we need to set it to 20 gallons, 10 gallons in each tank, and then we use just do simple math just to see I'm right with my 3 gallons. In either case, we're gonna work this out. Exciting! I mean, the probability of crashing today, guys, is severe. Thanks, flights. Surge forever. So once you become a certified pilot, you will have to change all your merchandise. Yeah, although I have to say, at the onset of my project, I've always been interested in obviously getting my PPL for real. Perhaps even also my instrument rating. But here in the Netherlands, it's so expensive, much more expensive than I initially thought. It's about 20,000 euros just to get your PPL, which is insane. It's almost double, more than double than in the US. Now I could also go to the US, do a crash course there, especially with all my PilotEdge experience and flight sim experience. It would take me half the time perhaps just to get my PPL. But for that same amount of money that I can invest in VR and flying with you guys, I mean flight flight simulation is getting better and better and more exciting, more fun, more social every year. I have to say, I pretty much like flight sim, and when I'm flying for real here at my local airport with a 172, the time it takes just to fly, the costs, how not social actually the flying is. You're just flying with 2, while here I'm flying with 50 on a stream. It's yeah. I mean, obviously you're flying for real, and it does obviously excites me to fly for real and seeing the clouds. But at the same time, though, there already goes. Already past my VFR challenge time. Already 10 minutes or so. Could also be AI, by the way, and not human flight. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's continue. Batteries are on. Blub, blub. Let's check our systems. Also
Meadows Field Information Golf. 1700 Zulu weather. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10.
Alright, that sounds good. Off,
Sky
off,
clear.
off.
Temperature 27.
Off already, yeah. GPS, we're going to change that soon. Yeah, low fuel reading. That's the first. Interesting. Okay, and let's test whether all the other stuff is working as well. Pressure, yes. What is our airport elevation? That is 4001. However, there's one risk here. I mean, obviously I can set my altimeter here to 4001, but obviously there could be terrain differences at the airfield. This is just a general 4001 is just a general or particular airport elevation point at the ramp or at the tower, and if the airport elevation is a little bit curvy, then you could be wrong here. So always refer to the altimeter setting. This one doesn't work. This is a bug still that needs to be fixed, at least in my case. I don't know if you guys experience it as well, but when I start up the rep here, I cannot change my heading indicator here, which is a bit funny. It only works after I started my engine. This is all good, good, good. 24 degrees, and yeah, that's about it. So off, throttle a bit in, fuel pump on. 1, 2, 3, cut off, fuel pump off, parking brakes are still set. Is anyone walking around? No, so clear. Prop. Put your full in, ignition back to both. Alright, fuel, oil pressure is there already. Alternator on. Let's lean for ground right away. There's still a rise in the RPM, and there's a drop, so something like this, and go back to 1000 right away. Good. And avionics on. Let's go mode C. 1200 is verified. What do we need in terms of navigation? Zerk, your fuel tanks look empty. What am I missing? Fuel gauge on empty. Yep. So part of the challenge for today's VFR flight is to use a minimum amount of fuel. No, that's not true. Just to reach my destination airport with minimum fuel left in the tanks. And I've calculated that I should need around 3 gallons or so. That's why. And the engine is running, by the way. So in terms of usable fuel realism, it's not that realistic. Alright, 120.123.0. 123.0 is the CTAF of Tehachepi, and the Bakersfield is tower is Meadows Airfield is 118.1. 118.1. Okay, we already listened to the AWAS here, and at Bakersfield it is 118.6. 118.6. Very good. And I also need the nav, and that's 115.4. 115.4. That's true, Christopher. 115.4. Yes, that's set, and we're gonna fly westerly, so 2 exactly, so something like this. Good. Alrighty then. Still, we need to wait for the engine to warm up to 75 degrees. That's currently the case. With 24 degrees outside, it's going to go a bit more fast. That's good. As you can see now, heading indicator has changed. Buggy. 072. 072. Good. And I don't mind the heading bug. Okay. Brakes test. Good. Is here, taxiing. Okay, we need to go to 29, so that means that we need to turn to the right. Now, because we're above 3,000 feet MSL, the airport elevation is above 3,000 feet MSL, we can actually take off with leaned mixture. Winds from the back, they do seem a bit more strong, so I should have used crosswind. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. I am going to do the run-up, also calculated into my fuel burn stuff. We're already at 1.5-ish. Also interesting, I don't know if you guys can see, if you look at my data ref to the left top corner, is that the fuel is used not evenly throughout the tanks, which is interesting to me. Alright, let's go to 1,000 here, and we need to warm up our engine so that's in the green before we can do our run-up, otherwise we damage the engine, which is simulated by rep. Also set my parker brakes here. Okay, flap set, trim was already set as well. We can do our checks. Well, it's a bit too much. No, it's fine. To the right, that one goes down, that one goes up. Down, up. Looks good. And my rudders work as well. Okay, very good. We are connected. Yeah, we're connected. We're going to take off 5,500 feet. We're going to follow the highway. Follow the highway. Where are we? There we are. Follow the highway and then drop down to the airport elevation is 500 feet, so that means that at 1,500 feet that's the traffic pattern altitude. Alright. Am I going to make this, guys? This is exciting! Very, very cool. Almost in the green. So again, in the real world, you would always fly with reserves. For VFR at daytime, 30 minutes additional to your flight. At night VFR, it's going to be 45 minutes, and if you're flying IFR, it's 45 minutes as well. And also your alternate, making your alternate airport, adding that as additional fuel as well. So you would never do this. This is actually illegal what I'm doing right now. But hey, that's the advantage of PilotEdge and Flight Sim, that you can learn. It's now in the green. Very good. So mixture full in. We're now burning much more fuel. Or burning, actually. Spoiling a lot more fuel. 1,800, good. It's good enough drop, back to both. Right, good enough, and back to idle once again. And oil pressure is still there, everything looks fine. Vacuum is low, but that's okay. 1,000, and let's lean again. Because we are high up. There goes the RPM. And there it drops, so it's something like this. Good. Again, we're ready to go. Let's go, guys. Tehachapi traffic, Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango Mike is going to depart runway 29 for a straight out departure to 5,500 to the direction of Bakersfield. Tehachapi. There we go. Again, lights on, and we're ready to go. Full power. Airspeed's alive. My RPM is not good. Perhaps a bit too much leaned. Yeah, I'm gonna increase my mixture here. Airspeed is alive. We're still not halfway of the runway, so I'm gonna continue my takeoff here. And there we go. Still, pressure still there. Yeah, I trust the engine. All right. just a bit more. Looking at my EGT there. Don't want to cut off my engine here. 1.4 gallons in both tanks. Alright. Follow the highway. Good. Flaps up. Can we reach Bakersfield, guys? That's the big question. Alright, good enough climb. EGT is nice. Gonna be more. Yeah, so this is also interesting. If I want to be very precise with my leaning, I would like to have that turning knob mechanism of my mixture, and with the cyclic pen you can only push and pull, which is much less accurate. Alright. I'm gonna stay a bit to the right here. That's the valley. So I can keep the highway to the left of me. Hey Toto, good to see ya. Hope you're doing well. I was really inspired by your development streams a while ago. You're working on the TBM. Man, you know a lot. And I'm also frustrated by the fact that I need to learn C++ or C, some kind of programming language to do all that fancy interfacing that you're doing for my 172. I like to build those systems too. It's so cool what you're doing. Alright, still going strong. Landing lights off. 1.3 gallons. Still climbing, full power. Reaching 5,500. Yes, Zerk. Alright, 5,500. Alright, go down. I'm immediately going to lower my RPM here. And let's see if we can further lean it. Yeah, it's okay-ish. Goes down. There goes the speed. 5,500, okay. Okay, nose down. Seems good enough to me so far. I didn't transmit. Well, I did transmit actually. I should have been transmitting, but I didn't hear anyone on the radio. That's a big mistake. COM2 should be Bakersfield.
Meadowsfield Information Golf.
Golf.
1700 Zulu weather. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10.
Good.
Sky clear. Temperature 27. Dew point 9. Altimeter 2988. Arriving runways 12 left. 12 right. Departing runways 12 left. 12 right.
I don't care about that
Advise
information. Yeah, that's it. I'm also building an audio panel here, guys. A USB mini keyboard with lights programmed here on my cockpit, so I can much more quickly switch from COM frequency. Also use the COM2 mic, but also see what COM module I have actually enabled. So because of this far too big glare shield or dashboard here, I cannot see from my sitting position here that it is off or on, which is quite a problem. 2010 tank levels in geometry, right? It's a simple binary. Roger, Toto. Yeah, that's what we noticed as well. Either you have fuel or you don't. Of course, I fixed it in the TBN. Of course. It's cool stuff, Toto. It is cool stuff. Okay, so we're flying as lean as possible. We have 1.18 gallons in each tank, which should be enough to reach the Bakersfield ramp. You can see already Bakersfield here on the GPS. We also have our VOR tuned in, so if I'm right, no, it should be the other way around. There we go. We have PilotEdge as a technique, and we have our VOR here, which is good. We are in sync still. There we go. Now, as you can see, while we're flying, it's not going that fast in terms of gallons. And, I mean, I've used my spreadsheet to calculate from ramp to ramp for the specific fuel burn of the Rep 172, how much gallons I would need to get from Tehachapi to Bakersfield. And it seemed too little to me. So apparently I don't have an intuitive understanding of how many gallons I need to burn for a traffic pattern or for a climb or stuff. And that really excites me for this particular challenge, VFR challenge today, is that it's not only about flying, also about learning new stuff. And I feel really, really silly, to be honest, that I never mindfully considered fuel burn for my flights. Usually I just load up my aircraft, have tanks or full tanks, and just keep on flying. And that's fine, obviously, if your focus is to focus on ATC or navigation. But as being a Cat 11 rated pilot, I should have actually incorporated fuel management a lot more early on. Now this is extreme, obviously. You would always fly with a reserve, but just for the sake of wrapping my mind around how many gallons I need to get somewhere, let's see if I can get to 0 gallons once we reach Bakersfield. And as Toto says, and Kimo also suggested, you have a once you get to this little gallons, this few gallons in your fuel tanks, actually the engine cannot run on that. It's not usable fuel. Even though you've got gallons in your fuel tanks, it doesn't seep down all the way to the engine. So this is actually, this cannot be done like I'm doing right now in the real world, most likely. But in either case, this is the great advantage of using a sim. Now, one thing that I'm also noticing, which is interesting, even though we have our tanks set to both, the fuel is not consistently evenly burned up or used from each tank. And I believe once I tested it yesterday, just very quickly, even when I make a turn to a particular direction, X-Plane knows that it should use only fuel from one tank. I don't know if that's realistic, but don't do detail fuel either. I top it up and make sure we have a lot more than I need. Yeah, obviously, Toto. Broke down and picked up that. All right. Yeah. So look at this view, guys. Again, Bakersfield is such a nice. Look at that. 1 gallon left in each tank. We have listened to ATIS. It is Golf. We can also, well, we have our DME here, 27 miles. We can also use the GPS here to have a sense of whether we are closing in. Should I use this one? To see where the delta is. But preferably, I prefer actually to fly near the road. The chances of, I think this is the road here in front of me, yeah. The chances of doing a crash landing here is huge. Alright, here's the road, yes. And we're going down that direction, and then Bakersfield. Yeah, we can already, well, perhaps it's a little bit too far away. If you look at the VOR, it's not on top of Bakersfield, it's 3 miles ahead. So yeah, around 13 nautical miles away from Meadows, we can do our call. .97 gallons. Gosh. Zerk, if your fuel was getting low, would dropping or raising a wind help get the fuel out of the tank? Toto, the stock explainer doesn't have that, but the real one does. Or would pitch help get the last drop? Yeah, good one. Toto, absolutely not. Any acceleration would cause fuel sludging, which is far worse. Yes. And I believe, Toto, that isn't there a feature, I don't know, remember that precisely, a feature in PlayMaker where you can set some kind of number that tells X-Plane eventually how much the fuel in the tanks is affected by G-force. There was some kind, I remember some kind of number there with a weird jargon phrase or term that was it something had to do with something about that. I'm not sure. The tank pickup is already at the bottom of the tank anyway, as low as as it can go. Roger. No, so this is actually a nice ticket or a nice comment for rep for sim coders to say, hey guys, you should actually allow the Skyhawk just to quit the engine, run out of fuel when we get below a particular number of gallons. Alright, so here we can see the road here joining in with another kind of freeway or thing. That's this, I think. So we're still outside, almost 10 nautical miles away. Still we are active with Golf, and I always have trouble spotting Bakersfield Airport, Meadows Airport, here in the photoreal. And again, this is why I love flying it with photoreal scenery. It's not just because it's pretty, it's also not because it's realistic in terms of what you see, like eye candy. Look at that. Yeah. But also that it becomes much more harder and realistic to spot airports because they're so nicely tucked in, obviously, into the scenery, rather than the old days when you just see a very plain stroked runway clearly already miles and miles ahead. And now you really need to spot the airport, and in my case I regularly mess that stuff up, so especially at Bakersfield, so that's interesting. Now as long as I keep following the road just ahead, that should gradually bring me into Bakersfield. Also look at the chart here, also a trick or strategy that I was not that aware of, and I should remind myself of continuously, is that you can also look at the urban areas here, the city. We know that we're going to fly over the city first. Also we need to spot Bakersfield, the non-towered airport there to the left of us. But the actual Meadowsfield, the airport, is beyond the city, also beyond this river. These are all additional, not really redundant, but additional cues that you can use to fly using a chart, which is so much more difficult and so much more fun than just flying on your GPS or a radio, I think. So low fuel pump on or no? That's also a good one. Yeah, perhaps. But again, if you look, we're now at 0.83 gallons. Now I'm getting confident about my spreadsheet. Getting confidence. So again, for those who didn't see, yesterday evening in a rush I made myself a spreadsheet that I can use to calculate my almost exact fuel requirement for any particular flight. It's not, it can be even more exact, but this is okay. So for this flight I put in all kinds of numbers, and well, it produced 2.96 gallons from parking to parking, including taxi, stationary, warm-up and all kinds of stuff, which is a bit of this and a bit of experimentation here to see how the Rep 172 behaves in terms of fuel burn. Alright, 5,500. We need to go to 1,500. That's the traffic pattern altitude. So that's a descent of 4,000-ish. Yeah, so that's about 4 minutes. Yeah, okay, so we could already try to descend, obviously. Also save some fuel if we do. 17 nautical miles away from the Meadows VORTAC. We can already see the delta here on the GPS. My COM1 is on, right? It's so hard to see. It seems on, yes. We're still on the CTAF, so let's switch the tower. 118.10. Could have done that already. 118.1. That's the tower. Yes, confirmed.
SoCal approach, Skyhawk 342 Tango Bravo. Can you confirm descend maintain 4,000 after departing Elmo?
Rotating Bravo, that's correct. Contact circle bridge 134.2.
34.2 to Tango Bravo.
All right.
Bakersfield Tower, Skyhawk 2660,
Now-
Papa, 3 mile final, 30 right.
Need to watch my mixture here because I'm leaned with a 2300 RPM, but now that I've gone lower RPM, I don't want to kill my engine. Still looks kind of good. Yeah, exactly, Toto. So I've calculated one additional traffic pattern, also in case of this VFR challenge where I expected to fly with multiple pilots.
1399, clear to land, thank you.
But that doesn't seem the case. So I'm gonna
342 Bravo circle bridge for being altimeter 2987.
I'm gonna leave 0.6 gallons in my tanks this way. Let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, the airport is somewhere around there. We are going down. Should go down much faster, by the way. And we are in the east. We've got Gulf.
8,000. That's us. I'll be able to get you there for a little bit.
Bakersfield Tower, good day. Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango Mike is around 10 miles to the east at 4,500 and descending inbound for a full stop. We have Gulf.
PHTIM, Bakersfield Tower. And you said you're from the southeast, is that correct?
Yeah, east, southeast.
PHTIM, thank you. Make sure to runway 30 right for 3 mile final.
Runway 30 right and reporting 3 miles final. Okay, good. So that seems like a straight in, so that's good.
Rotating Bravo, Santa Monica Airport,
Go down a bit more.
5 miles reporting flight.
I think that is Bakersfield over there. And again, the simple things matter. Just because you're flying more high up, it's more easy to spot airports. I mean, it's silly, but that's also a reason why you need to pick a higher cruising altitude. Also, in case of an emergency, you've got an engine out, you've got more time to glide down, you're more away of obstacles and stuff, so there are a lot of advantages. But and I love the fact that this stuff also works for flying in the flight sim. What is the ground frequency of Bakersfield so that we are prepared? Usually we can just stay on tower, but Bakersfield
Rotating Bravo, clear to approach
1.7.
runway 21, established final contact tower 120.1.
1.7. So literally says and doesn't use the phonetic alphabet. How is that realistic? Yeah, gummy, I totally agree. I don't know why. I think Marcus is the only one who uses Papa Hotel Tango and Mike, and that's why I love him.
Cleared visual
He was also the first controller that I talked to at
tower
PilotEdge.
120.1.
I think that is Bakersfield. Yeah, it is. And 30 right is a huge runway. Remember, 3 miles out, we need to still do a position report, and then we are clear to. We're not clear to next
Echo,
yet.
correction. SEILE, Sunlight Tower, you ready to go? You said you're remaining in the pattern.
Landing lights on.
Yeah, we're ready to go and we'll be remaining in the pattern.
Still, we're leaned, but we're getting below 3,000.
SEILE, the left push traffic approved, report midfield each time when 2-9ers are ready.
I've also calculated in my spreadsheet flying above 3,000 and below, because below 3,000, right about now, we're going to go full mixture, and we burn more fuel than when we are above 3,000. So far, so good. 0.67 gallons.
12 o'clock and 6.5 miles.
This is so cool.
342 Tango Bravo, visual approach 21.
And again, the challenge is not so much just the flying, obviously,
runway 21, clear to land.
but the intellectual dimension to incorporating fuel management, fuel
And here
planning.
in about a mile, I'll be able to get you down.
And in a way, it's also management, because you need to really lean properly, obviously, because otherwise you're off from your spreadsheet.
Bakersfield Tower, 13909, I'm off the runway at parking on east side. Fine.
Ah, that's the other pilot, I think, that joined me on in the challenge. That's awesome. Already arrived. You can see the runway over there. 30
Your
right.
13909er taxi to parking via Alpha or remain this frequency. Have a great day.
There he is.
Parking via Alpha, remain with you, 1399, thanks, we'll see you.
Nurse 6 Juliet Kilo to Cinema 6800.
Alright, nice descent here. Mixtures full in. What I also find interesting, especially as part of IFR, as Keith mentioned, but I think it also applies to VFR on any particular airport, a big airport, so the Charlies, I guess also the Deltas, is to keep your speed up, especially as a small GA aircraft, so you more nicely fit in with the bigger jets, especially when you hear them on the radio.
PHTIM, I have you inside runway 30 right, clear to land, wind 2908.
Clear land 30 right, touching right. To keep your speed up and to only slow down at the last moment. When I was flying with Keith in the US,
cancellation this frequency, change to advisory frequency approved.
he showed me doing that, which was in his Lancer, which was really fun. I think when I get up here, you just log back off. Nothing worse than the air. Some of the guys carry on conversations over comms. That's true, Toto. All right, 0.6 gallons. Yes, so again, I've accounted for an additional traffic pattern here at Bakersfield in case it was busy, in spirit of the VFR challenge. So fortunately today, that's not the case. Thanks for the follow, MS or S Human. Thanks. Happy Monday. So that means that we are going to leave or unuse a according to my book, 0.6 gallons, so 0.3 gallons in each tank. So let's keep that in mind as soon as we
Sierra Echo, India Lima Echo, left hand midfield downwind, touch and go runway 29.
0.6 gallons in each tank right now.
SEILE runway 29 clip adaptation.
Where I'm going to park?
Cliff the option, runway 29, Sierra Echo, India Lima Echo.
Around. There's a flight school here somewhere, I believe. I think it was over there. Well, we'll have to see. Right, 1 notch of flaps. Use displays threshold here. And remember, we cannot land on that stuff. Extend speeds.
Burbank clearance, Skyhawk 298.
Sure, there's
Charlie,
ground traffic.
Land filed, IFR.
Vehicles. There's the other PilotEdge. Oh, we should park over there. Yeah. All right. So let's see if we can make this first traffic or first taxiway. 0.50. We're easily going to make this. So that totally changes my intuitive understanding of how many gallons you actually need to fly somewhere. Very, very interesting. Full flaps. Nose up. Nice. Flaps up. Speed going.
298 right, Charlie, Burbank clearance, clear to Oxnard Airport. Spanish 3 departure. Fillmore transition direct.
Bit too
maintain. 3,000, expect 6,000 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 134.2,
runway
score
behind the threshold line. And now we can lean for ground quickly,
Burbank,
even though you got enough
clearance.
gallons.
Please repeat that. There was background noise that I couldn't pick up.
There we go. Again, looking at
Right,
RPM. There's a rise in the RPM, and it's declines again, so somewhere around there.
Or 298 right, Charlie.
Strobe lights off.
Clear 2. Oxnard Airport, Van Nuys 3 departure. Fillmore transition direct. Maintain 3,000, expect 6,000 minutes after departure.
Good to see you, by the way.
Departure frequency 134.2, squawk 276, correction 2736.
Skyhawk 208, Mike Charlie, we're cleared to Oxnard. Please repeat the, I missed the route. Altitude 3,000, 6,000 after 10 minutes. Departure frequency 134.2, squawking 2736, and please repeat the route.
Skyhawk 298, Mike Charlie, Van Nuys 3 departure, Fillmore transition, direct. And did you need anything else?
Negative. That's Van Nuys 3 departure, Fillmore, then direct. 2908, Mike Charlie.
Alright, Mike Charlie, be back direct.
Bakersfield Tower, Skyhawk Papa Delta Tango. Mike is clear of 30 right, taxi to parking.
PHTIM, taxi to parking via Alpha, remain this frequency.
Via Alpha to parking, remain this frequency. Thanks for the help today, Papa Delta Tango. Alright, there we go.
John Wayne Clearance, good morning. Twin Comanche 377 Delta Pop, like to be VFR westbound advisory, Santa Catalina 4500, please.
Let's see if the other guy
That was 377 Delta Papa.
is still
Hey,
on the ramp, waiting for us.
VFR departure, flight following.
Thanks for the follow. Come on.
Affirmative, VFR westbound.
Thank you.
Santa Catalina.
Again, guys, this is a weekly VFR challenge. So every week, every Monday at 17:30 Zulu time, I'm going to do these sorts of VFR challenges. Today it was flying from Tehachepi Airport to Bakersfield,
received. Hope you can make it
parking with zero fuel on board.
Have a wonderful day.
And next week is going to be a different challenge and a new departure airport, a new destination airport. And it's just not only just to challenge
Sounds
yourself.
like you succeeded.
For most, it's not even going to be a challenge, but it's also just a nice social experience. I mean, this is PilotEdge.
Papa.
We can do
John
multiplayer,
on
obviously.
departure flighting 230, maintain
It's a way to get a buddy system going, and we can fly
departure frequency
together.
128.1, squawk
fun.
1520.
So if you have a PilotEdge account, feel free
Right on
to
departure
join.
flighting 230 out of below 2400, departures 2811250 on the box, Twin Comanche 7 Delta Papa.
I believe that
There's 7 Delta Papa, be back direct.
Skyhawk was over here, but I cannot see it anymore. .5 gallons left. Which is still a bit more. We're going to review this in just a sec. Wow. Alright. Where is the other guy? Or gal? I think it was a guy. I think I already disconnected from PilotEdge, and that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna park it over here. Dip. Do I care? No, not really. Somewhere around here. Very good. Parking brake sets.
O2.
To 1,000.
We're looking to go to the east hangar.
Turn off the transponder.
Who's looking for parking?
We can turn off
342
the
Tango.
avionics. We can do a very quick Mac test. Whoop. And that seems to be okay. And then we can cut off. Off. And everything is off. And there we are at Bakersfield. Keeping a gallon. Almost perfectly. A gallon. Now, as I mentioned, I also added an additional. I expected to fly at least one traffic pattern here on Bakersfield. If more than 2 or 3 or 4 other PilotEdge pilots would join in on flying this VFR challenge, like in the previous times, but we didn't need that traffic pattern. So I'm just curious to see how accurate my spreadsheet actually is. So what I'm going to do is just bring up the spreadsheet once more. Let's have a closer look, because it doesn't explain. I mean, obviously there's a margin of error there. For once, for example, I was a bit too lazy not to include a particular ground speed or wind component for every single leg of my flight. So I just put in my general flight direction, a general wind direction, and a general wind strength, and then put in all kinds of math to give me ground speed for the entire kind of general heading that I was going towards to reach my destination airport. So that could explain already some error in my calculations. Well, obviously the traffic pattern, as you can see here in the middle, traffic pattern of 1, which we didn't use. Airport elevation, yeah, time to parking, how many minutes I needed. Well, again, parking, we have such a low fuel burn that would probably not explain this many gallons. I also noticed that because the outside air temperature, which is also interesting, because it was 24 degrees Celsius at Tehachapi, I did my warm-up calibration tests. So how much time I need to stay in idle stationary on the ramp to get my oil temperature to 75 or in the green. I did that with 14 degrees Celsius, and it obviously takes a bit longer, a little additional minutes to get to the green, in the green arc, than when it's 24 degrees outside. It goes much quicker. So in that sense, that could also explain a bit, but again, this is at idle or 1000 RPM, very little fuel burn. Yeah, that's probably not it. I did fly on 5500. Zurich, speed confirmed. Yeah, pretty much, but not entirely though. What could be the biggest difference here? Distance, I did not do anything weird in terms of flying as planned. Yeah, the only thing still, to be honest, is the is the stationary and taxi stuff, but it cannot account for that many gallons. I mean, if we burn up 0.6 gallons for just doing a traffic pattern with mixture full in, then imagine how many gallons we would burn by just taxiing at 1000 RPM leaned. That's going to be 0.0 something. So that's not going to explain the difference here. So I would have been happy. The spreadsheet would have been perfect if we had 0.3 gallons left in each tank, because that's I calculated for an additional 0.6 gallons in total to make that additional traffic pattern. So we have 0.4 gallons. Too much. Now, I could have been, also can be explained by the fact that during cruise I've been a bit more aggressive or too aggressive with leaning, or perhaps even during the climb, because the engine was a little bit sputtering, which was dangerous. So when I took off, we can have a look at that, by the way. Plugins, PilotEdge disconnect. Let's have a look. Let's go. That's too far. Yeah, somewhere around here. So here you can see I'm not reaching full RPM because my mixture was still leaned, which was a good procedure, but it was a bit too much. So that was interesting. So you can see I'm enriching my mixture here, increasing my RPM. EGT goes up too, because of high RPMs, I guess. I confirmed my engine gauges and I thought, well, the engine is just fine. This is causing the trouble. Bit low on speed, so nose down a bit. Still trying to lean my engine further. We're above 3000 feet MSL, so we are allowed to do that. Quite low fuel flow. Perhaps I was a bit too aggressive during this stage of climbing, and that also saved up some gallons. So in either case, my my spreadsheet is kind of okay. And well, that's the biggest lesson, I think, for me, is again to wrap my mind around the fact that you don't need that many gallons of fuel. So with 1 gallon, you can come a long way. I think that before this exercise, with 1 gallon, I thought that you can just do half a traffic pattern, which is totally city. So that really excites me, and also just to do proper fuel management now from now on for every flight. Wonderful area here. Look at this. Control B. So there's our flights. Flight track. Again, following that road here along the valley, which worked out perfectly. Used my VOR radial as well. So again, in terms of navigation, this flight was very, very, very basic. Anything else I'm interested in reference to the challenge? Well, let's go a bit further on. Well, yes. Yes, that's it. That's it. Thanks for the follow, Mist. Thank you, appreciate it. My RPM is at 2200 RPM, and I'm flying indicated around 90 or 85. If you look at my spreadsheet, is it here? No, I made that part of the default setting. My cruise true airspeed should be at around 100 knots. And as you can see here at cruise, I was referencing my spreadsheet to 2300 RPM. So that's 100 RPM too short, and on a lag of it, well, what was it, 20 minutes or so, this cruise lag? Yeah, I can imagine that that would make a difference of around 0.4 gallons, which is not that much, but I would bet my money that that's the place where you can collect your gallons rather than the taxi bit. Yeah, I think that's it. We found it. We found it. So it would be fun though, perhaps in my own time, to fly or we can do that in the next VFR challenge because we're going to do these fuel planning anyways. To be more exact with flying, and that's also something fun, at least in my mind, that it's not just about, I mean, in the real world you're just getting all kinds of reserves, so you, in terms of fuel in your tanks, so that you don't need to consciously think about fuel all the time, right? You're safe. But here in terms of training, what I also really like is that because of this fuel planning, you're not only thinking about just the math of how much gallons you need to get to your destination airport, including the taxi and all that stuff, but it also then forces you to then fly according to your spreadsheets, right? For example, flying the 2300 RPM, which I didn't do, or leaning all of the time, because your life depends on it. So that's also a nice byproduct or something, parallel thoughts or consideration that I like. You become much more conscious of your fuel management while you are flying, which is really, really fun. Yeah, that's about it. Wonderful. Let me look at the landing because that's always fun. Boom, there we come into Bakersfield. Wonderful scenery. Boom, boom. There we are. Shift 5 from the tower. And there we go. Also, that's also something that I need to work on a bit more, especially for IFR flying, is to be able to calculate the top of climb, or how much time or distance I would need to descend from a particular altitude to another, or just how much time does it take me to get from A to B given a particular distance. Also including a headwind or a wind component. I mean, it doesn't need to be that precise, but I do like to possess a more intuitive or more minds-on way to calculate that stuff. Also as part of on-the-go problem resolving in case we got an emergency or stuff, and I don't need to grab to my spreadsheet and look at ForFlight or whatever situation, in whatever scenario. I don't know what's actually going on because I'm too much relying on spreadsheets and stuff. Hey Sam, good to see you. So here is the landing. Let's see. Full flaps. Yeah, we went pretty well, I think. Beautiful. What I did notice was I was already going quite fast. And here I'm putting in some throttle, which I didn't need, and now I need to get rid of that energy. So that's why it takes some time here just to get down, or allow the airplane to get down. I want to see it from the cockpit as well. Yeah. Yeah, there it was. Yeah, and I was already going quite fast, so that wasn't really that necessary. Again, what you like to prevent here is to stall too early, so you stall into the runway. So this is actually a crucial phase of your round off, you could say. So I would rather have a bit too much airspeed than too little, but in this case I could have done without the additional throttle there. Now, in the current version of X-Plane, I already did a small update to 0.21. When I quit the flight recorder, my airplane catches fire. So let's see what happens right now. Off. Yeah, this is so weird. You crash. Would you like to start a new flight? No, X-Plane. No. Yeah, would have been nice if they fixed that. And how do I send reports of this? I guess just via the site, or is it through X-Plane as well? I think through the site. Yeah, so yeah, burn baby burn is actually quite a fitting ending for this particular stream. Guys, that completes today's VFR challenge. That was fun. Very educational. So being much more precise with your fuel planning. And by doing so, necessarily also being much more precise with your fuel management, with your leaning management and stuff, your engine management while you are flying. Apparently my spreadsheet is pretty much spot on from parking to parking, and I guess I was a bit off just because I was not flying at 2300 RPM, so I was a little bit more conservative when flying, and perhaps that, or most likely that, explains the difference between my planned fuel requirements and my actual fuel consumption at the end of the flight. Very, very cool. Thanks guys, thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here. Toto, thanks. Geriatric, Stefan, hey, good to see you as well. Didn't know you were there. Good to see you. And Sam, and Mist, and Zerk, and Flight Logic, obviously. Thank you all guys for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to stream much more often. Also, what I'm going to do this week, hopefully, I was expecting the device to arrive already today, is I bought the GNS 430 by RealSim Gear, so an actual GNS 430 device that we can plug into X-Plane. Thanks for the follow, Steam Powder, thanks. And I cannot wait to mount it here, but also do a proper video review for those who are interested. And Blaster, thanks for the follow, guys. So I'm hoping that actually the doorbell will ring even in the next few hours. But I'm going to do a full video review of the GNS as well. I've also used a mini USB keyboard, two actually, one for my transponder and autopilot. 16 or 20 buttons that I've also used stickers and labels on, and an audio panel. So I'm going to perhaps stream making the cockpit or upgrading the cockpit as well, and I can show you guys how the GNS actually works and whether I think it's worth the money. And I think it is. It looks pretty cool, and also helps me to learn to fly on the GPS a little bit more seriously when doing my IFR. It's not necessary to fly with the GPS, not at all. You can fly Slant Alpha as well, but yeah, the GNS has some pretty nice tricks, and it's nice to be able to know how to use the GPS. So I'm going to incorporate that as well, also much more explicitly in the streams. I'm going to set up some additional scenes here in OBS so I can show you how you can use the GNS in a more sophisticated, advanced way to for your IFR flying, also your VFR flying, but especially your IFR flying. So I've been studying that stuff for the last few weeks. First going to do the upgrade of my cockpit, and then I'm going to continue with my IFR training, doing my first complete IFR flight, and then do all the I ratings that I've never done before on PilotEdge. So to become as close to that instrument rating in Flight Simulator as I possibly can. All right, as always, thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate your presence and your support. As always, happy flights and blue skies. Bye. Palm Springs Tower, Skyline Hotel Tango, and your mic is 10 miles north of the airport at 3000. Information X-ray for full stop. Landing 13 left, that's it.
Papa Delta Tango, Indy Link, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Delta Tango, Indy Link, Palm Springs altimeter is 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, to request for straight in for 13.
That's it.
Correction, Papa Delta Tango, Indy Link, straight in runway 13 left, and clear to land. Landed 0905.
Clear to land runway 3 left, Papa Delta Tango, Indy Link.
Palm Springs plus 4658 is type east land conflict clearance to Vegas S1.
Pulse 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S file, I'll be forward standby. Pulse 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas airport. VFI Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs. Victor 370 to 29 Palms. Victor 538. Cresso. Join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7000. Expect flight level 2, 405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk 6316.